And if you're seriously looking for depth,
Ye the jolly heaven above and the byway nigh me. Bird in the bush and the sky to see, bread I dip in the river. There's the life for a man like me, there's the life forever. Bird in the bush and the sky to see, bread I dip in the river. There's the life for a man like me, there's the life for...
At Loch Gilphead, the local council built a new industrial estate and so wanted the travelling families off the foreshore, on which they had camped ever since anyone could remember. Shifted to the best provided of sites, the older Loch Gilphead residents don't seriously think of moving on. Now that the old economic systems which underpin traditional travelling life have all gone, that life is just something they look back upon, as do Mr. and Mrs. Willie Cameron.
Well, we used to go around all our girls are here making cans, basins, big cans, and milk cans, and making baskets, and so forth like that. But now, the result is the people can buy them cheaper in the shops as what we can get the stuff to make them.
Very little of the traditional craft industry survives, although a few older travellers can still make baskets, which used to be a mainstay of traveller life. The work that travellers do has always varied according to locality, season and fashion, as well as according to the preferences and abilities of individual travellers. Nowadays, tarring driveways and dealing in scrap and waste oil are probably the commonest jobs. Some do agricultural work, but others don't consider that good enough.
This is a cleave. It's made of ivory. My father made that a long, long time ago. And it's the top of a walking stick. My father bought this in Glasgow, 2 and 6, in 1914. This is, you call a plane, a shave of different thicknesses. You elevate that plate there to make it whatever thickness you want. You can make it very, very thin, but whatever way you want.
Those who are capable of the traditional crafts are very proud of a background of making and hawking good luck charms, lace or music. Some have taken their skills into showground work, or some still operate them as a sideline, like fortune-telling.
Make a wish. Wish for anything. Don't tell me you wish.
Right.
Open your hand. Now, have you made your wish?
I have.
Now, your wish wasn't for money, or your wish was not for land. As you gained your wish, it wouldn't make you rich, it wouldn't make you wealthy, but it would make you happy, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Now, you're a very funny young man. You've got very funny ways with you. For who you like, and who you don't associate with. You don't like a backbiter, you don't like a story carrier. You like a straightforward person like yourself. Now, you'll never be blessed, you'll never be kept down a marriage life with a big family. You'll only be the father of 4. You'll have 2 sons and 2 daughters. One at the age of 17 will be on television by something that they're going to do very intelligent. Keep your mind and keep your business to yourself. Be aware of a dark-haired gentleman. Not so tall as yourself, with a J or a W to their name. A wee bit fair speaking to you, but a wee bit better when your back is turned. You're in a very lucky year this year. There's deep water in front of you. You'll travel. You're born to go abroad. You'll see 4 different nations. There is a good change for your buildings, and a change that'll make you happy. But you'll gain your wish, and you'll gain a lot of health and good strength this year.
Oh, that's terrific news.
Now, are you pleased?
Yes, I'm very pleased.
Okay.
Right. Although in the past they were wrongly called gypsies, in fact, Scots travellers probably have little or no foreign blood. They were also called tinkers by the settled people, to whom they were a source of new pots and pans, and for whom they repaired and sharpened metal goods. Willie McPhee from Perthshire, here making a peace trainer, is one of the last of the travellers still able to do the craft they mostly used to live by.
They've traveled in nature. They've not been interested in acquisitiveness, but simply being able to live from day to day in their own environment, which is nature. They invade the settled community precincts simply for their living. For example, the gathering of scrap and recycling. And save the mark, recycling has become a modern concept.
Can you tell me about the time you used to go off to Perth in groups and so on?
Oh, well, the month of July when we so just like everything else but died out.
I've got machines to do it now, you
We
see.
have all the machines now, and in the harvest we'll go over there and do quite a lot at the harvest. But now the combine harvester has killed all that and done away with it. And now they've started now having the potato lifting machines. And that has killed our jobs in a lot of places.
We used to go to the raspberry picking too at Blairgowrie and Stanley, but we don't go anymore because we have no vehicle, you see, and it would take us weeks to go with a pony. It would.
But if
There are probably many travellers in showground work, but the Stewarts of Blair are the only Scots travellers known to have made a career out of traveller culture, about which they've sung at home and abroad.
If on marriage he is bent, then I'll give my consent. It's no every day he'll get a chance like me. For I can weave and I can work, I can wash and mend a sark. I'm as thrifty as ony lass I can. But on the nail I'll hang, and I'll get leave to sing. I wonder what's the day with all the men.
Well done,
I suppose when travelling people got together in big groups like that, they used to meet each other and get engaged and married and so on. Is that the way it used to happen?
Yes.
Oh, well, it used to be. A lot of elopements.
Well, I meant to say the result was
elopements.
the way that I found it, my wife anyway. You went, and if you saw the thing that suited you, and you got a chance for to get her to the pictures for a week or two, and then it carried on for that, maybe for a month or two, maybe for a year or two. Well, me anyway, it took me 3 years to get married.
Did it?
Aye.
So long? Why was that?
Oh, well, just
Always seemed to
so.
refuse.
Can you tell me about the elopements?
Well, a lot of them years ago used to elope. They would go to the pictures and then that was it. They were never heard of for maybe a fortnight.
And that was the way they got married?
Well, they got married when they come back.
When they come back,
They
their
got married.
parents, I made them go and get squared up.
Travellers have a strong sense of honour and of what is fitting. For example, they still observe a traditional rite when a relative dies.
When there's a death in the family.
The like caravans or tents or so forth like that. Blankets or bedding, clothing, dishes and so forth like that. It's all destroyed when we have a decease. There's only the one class of material that we keep. It's bagpipes or any kind of musical instrument, watches, rings, brooches or earrings. That is the only thing that we hold on to.
Why do you think that is, that so many people...
Well,
tradition.
it's just we're tradition.
We're
It goes
tradition.
away back. Now, I lost my mother and Arn there a week, well, about
4 months.
4 months. Well, my youngest brother there, he burnt up everything. And I meant to say, when I lost my dad, well, I had to burn everything. No. When we lost her mother, the wife's mother there, in the Vale of Leven, we renovated the whole house out. Couldn't she stayed in the house? New furniture, everything. We just kindled a bonfire out the back and set to and burnt everything. Blankets, furniture, everything that was in it. No memories.
Other parents, asked why they intended to leave nothing to their children, but to burn all their possessions, answered this way: we've passed on the trick of how to survive. What else do they need? And then there are the traditions concerned with cleanliness.
Well, we don't wash our dish towels in the washing machines or in the same water if we wash our clothes in. We also have our own basin for our dishes, which we keep separate from face basins and so on and so forth. All of us do that.
The Save the Children Fund organizer, Nick Flavin, works with travellers in Central Region.
Well, I think that culture, as you know, is a very difficult concept. What is culture? Very hard to define. I think it's best to say that travellers have maybe a special attitude to life, which is perhaps something we could learn from. It's the attitude that, well, things don't really matter as much as people, and that one lives from day to day with a certain kind of trust. And the travellers are by no means apathetic. They're a hopeful people, and this is the thing we could learn from them perhaps in this day and age. I think we don't approach it from the idea that we're going to change the travellers. We approach it from the stance that change is inevitable, that in this day and age we're all suffering from the fact that change is going at a greater rate, a much faster pace, and is catching up with the travellers too. They've got a rural-type mentality, a good, wholesome rural-type mentality. They have already adapted themselves. They're possibly the first people in this country to use caravans. They will tell you themselves that now the whole society is imitating them for going on caravan holidays. And this is the kind of thing. They are actual natural adapters. They use the things around them. Let's say 20 years ago, people made baskets and people mended pots and pans. Now they will recycle scrap. They will recycle waste oil. They will, again, they will still pick berries, and every time I eat a spoon of jam, I think of travellers, because travellers are the people that actually are the hidden workers in society. And we don't actually change them or try to change them. We give them, we hope, if they accept it, and they do readily accept it, if they accept basic literacy, a basic amount like this, they're
people. We have the gumption to do what we do. Because we can earn money. But I don't think we just get money. We can go from 6 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock at night working if we want some. Now, the way things is going on, getting moved about the country, we've got to sit like the rest of people on the brew. Now, these people say you're going into that brew office and they say, listen, these people have got caravans, new motor cars. How can they have it and we can't? Now, that is one way they're against us, because we can have things that they can't have. And I mean, anybody can have things if they work for it. I mean, I know the country's bad just now, but the good weather's coming in and we're hoping to go away and work, because the travelling season's coming in for us. Come on, to the bell.
This year, the McDonalds will be going to France.
Je m'appelle...
Betty.
Yes.
What's your name?
No, that's my name.
My name is Betty.
Betty. To vous jouer. You know that one, you said, obviously. No,
what
do you want to play? Ribbon, sir?
Yes, sure.
Sure. We don't know too much, we're just learning, you see. So the kids are picking it up quicker than I'm picking it up. So if they learn, they can learn me once I'm over there, you see. We'll have the spring, we'll have the summer, and then we'll have the back end in autumn. Then we can earn money, we'll work hard and get it. And this is what the people are up against. They won't do what we do. They won't go in a tarty field at 7 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock at night. We'll do it, because we have to do it. And anything we want, we'll say, we'll look at a new caravan, we want that, so we'll go and work for it. But it isn't the whole thing. And that's what, in the field, lifting tarties, shawing turnips, doing anything to help the family get on. And that's why we differ from other people.
They have a profound independence of spirit. As the Orkney poet Robert Rendell said, with independent heart and mind hold I my heritage. So that they have what I would call their own culture, their own language, their own contribution to make, their proximity to nature throughout their lives from bairnhood onwards. And settlement in houses for them is a very difficult proposition indeed. Once the settled community understand these sterling people and don't attribute to the group the failings of the few, a principle on which none of it stand. Then if that...
Robbie Macmillan of Elgin, Murrayshire, pearl fisher and pine cone gatherer, camping on the banks of the Spey. Robbie was born and bred one of the travelling people, the name by which most British people of nomadic lifestyle like to be known. In Scotland, travellers are often labelled tinkers, but because this term is felt to be abusive, it's not used within the group. In the North Highlands, the crofters call the travelling people the summer walkers. Each summer, Robbie walks and fishes the great rivers of northeast Scotland, the Spey, the Dee and the Don. In autumn, his family collect pine cones for the Forestry Commission before returning to winter quarters in Elgin. When asked whether he was a singer, he replied, "Me, no, far too many convictions for that."
Duncan Williamson, Argyllshire traveller, gathering whelks near Ardrishaig on Loch Fyne. His sister-in-law, Mary Williamson, works with her daughter, Mary. Duncan was one of 16 children, and his mother was born in a cave at Moosdale, Kintyre. Of all minority groups in Scotland, the travellers have the lowest social and cultural status. Some pubs refuse to serve travellers. Many of their traditional campsites have been blocked off or turned into rubbish dumps. Shellfish provided an important part of the diet of Britain's first inhabitants. Today, whelks sold by the pound in Tarbert are exported by air to France. It's ironic that pressures on traveller lifestyle should be intensifying at a time of resurgent national and cultural consciousness in Scotland. For there's no doubt that they are the heirs of a vital element in Scottish history and carriers of an essentially Celtic culture. Traveller culture and lifestyle are inseparably intertwined. Their most precious possessions are their freedom and the songs and stories that life on the road has given them. In material terms, most travellers are poor. They retain only the remnants of a tradition of craftsmanship, but they still keep alive an ancient and vital oral literature that makes theirs one of the most genuine folk cultures of Europe. The life of travellers is changing. Many are moving into towns and making permanent homes, but most people of traveller origin retain a sense of shared history and kinship. a sense of brotherhood that survives internal feuding and external antipathy. Jock Townsley of Clachan, Kintyre, cutting willow wands for baskets. Jock, his family, and his unmarried brother live in a bus, a bow tent, and a collection of chicken sheds at home above West Loch Tarbert. The homestead is signposted, Home Sweet Home. Defined narrowly, there are about 1,800 travellers on the road in Scotland, but defined broadly, they are an extensive group, perhaps 20,000 strong. Mary Williamson has spent all her life on the road in traditional traveller tents, raising and losing children, setting up camp and being moved on. Now with her family she lives permanently on the outskirts of Loch Kilped. Mary learned her music and craft skills from her mother, Bonnie Bella Townsley. There are nomadic peoples, gypsies and tramps in most European countries, but the Scottish travellers shouldn't be confused with either. Few of them share the particular racial origins of the gypsies, and the communal family culture of the travellers is very different from the solitary egocentricity of tramps. To differentiate himself from a passing tramp, a young Aberdeenshire traveller once gave epigrammatic expression to this fact when he said, "That kind of lad's not one of us. Charlie Doyle just lives for day to day, but we," meaning the travellers, "we live entirely in the past." Elderwood is traditionally used for the carving of flowers. It shaves easily, and its hollow stem allows it to be mounted on a privet stalk. When traveller women go hawking, flowers are one means of soothing introductions at the door. In the Highlands, the travellers have never radically altered their ancient lifestyle. Among settled crofting communities, they've made a virtue of their habitual and traditional movement. Until quite recently, there have been the news bringers, hawkers and peddlers. They gathered herbs and wormed dogs. In particular, they brought music and entertainment. Their bilingualism has made them an important source of contact between Gaelic and English-speaking areas. But they retain the explosiveness of a frontier people. Jock Townsley and his son Norman prepare to cut heather to make a scouring brush. Jock is a bagpiper and Norman a skilled hunter with snare and rabbit net. The Townsley children play with a pram still used for hawking. As tinsmiths and farrowers, as besom makers and basket menders, the travellers have provided the Highlands with basic craftsmanship and an adaptable pool of seasonal labour, but also a focus for local resentments. As the Jews have been blamed for killing Christ, so the tinkers have been blamed for providing the nails. But this allegation has been neatly turned aside by the travelling community to sanction their reputation for theft. For it's said that of the 4 nails set aside for the crucifixion, 1 was stolen by a travelling man. Grateful for small mercies, Christ has since turned a blind eye to tinker choring, stealing, at least every now and then.
Oh, what did he pecky and lose the hapney? The greedy old miser, he should have picked one. Oh, stall your mangin, here bangs the God ye, for we love Jesus, yes we do.
Little is certain about the origins of the travelling people. Only a minority can be immediately recognized by particular physical characteristics. Most seem to mix the features of various ethnic groups, Celtic, Norse, Anglo-Saxon, but also, not surprisingly, older Aboriginal strains. A strange myth has grown up to explain the oriental appearance of the Caithness travellers. They're said to be the descendants of Japanese sailors shipwrecked long ago on the Pentland Firth. Before the days of the Brillo pad, scouring brushes like these were widely used in the Highlands. Stories about the history of traveller families often concern royalty, the nobility, and Jacobite rebels forced into tinkerdom. Other suggestions make them the descendants of crofters put on the road as a result of the Highland clearances. The travellers are an adaptive group, but the vast majority of such stories are clearly fanciful. A traveller lifestyle was established in Scotland long before the clearances and the Jacobite period. In 1665, the Scots Estates ordered the transportation of strong and idle beggars, gypsies and criminals to Jamaica. Before the first migration of gypsies into Britain, there are written records of the tinkerers residing in Perth, and of that old traveller family, the Faws, living at Kirkyetum on the border. Basic accommodation has long been the bow tent, or wattle, a portable or disposable shelter that consists of a framework of sticks draped with some kind of a cover. The skeleton of bowed hazel or rowan saplings is very strong, and the igloo shape resistant to wind. The tents vary in size, but all are constructed according to similar principles, incorporating the dynamics of the round arch and employing a modular system of construction. Living units like these provided the beginnings of European architecture. The travellers retain a pre-industrial, a pre-agricultural sense of leisure. Work and play are hardly differentiated. They possess an aversion not to hard work, but to habitual labour and the discipline of the clock. The values and satisfaction of the farmer are not theirs. Acute awareness of the past isn't balanced by organised plans for the future. Far from being the flotsam of the ages, a kind of dropouts anonymous, the travellers are the heirs of a cohesive social group whose origins almost certainly lie in the pre-Christian era. Evidence suggests that they're either the heirs of a caste of nomadic metal workers who rose to play an important part in high Celtic society, or older still, the heirs of the Aboriginal hunter-gatherers who were pushed into northern Europe in the Neolithic period. The Townsleys recently applied for a house, but since local villagers objected to the idea of tinker neighbours, Strathclyde region are to build them a special house in an isolated spot costing £37,000. Now, with aristocratic disdain, Jock Townsley says that when the house is complete, he'll inspect it, and only then make a decision as to whether or not he'll live in it. Until the beginning of the 20th century, a fair number of travellers lived part of the year in caves. In bad weather on their summer tours, the Townsley family still move into the Tinker Caves of Kintyre. In Aberdeenshire, famous warrens of caves were abandoned as communal homes only about 60 years ago. As an old traveller said in the 50s, all those caves have been condemned now. In a technological society, we shouldn't forget the tenacity with which traditional social forms and ideas can faithfully transmit themselves over generations. The Highlands have always been a difficult area for agriculturists, and they still retain the geographical characteristics of Paleolithic Europe. The Mackenzies of Fortingal in Perthshire, Martha and James and John. Martha still burns an open fire in a tiny tent, little bigger than a dog kennel. Sheila Stewart sings.
My heart's been broken so many times that I may fear it may never mend again. My soul is bruised and my body is filled with woe and pain.
McPhee at his winter camp amongst the potato fields of Lunkerty. Willie is a piper and one of the last traveller tinsmiths. Here he begins work on a peace strainer. The Tinkers got their name from the traditional practice of tinsmithing. Itinerant metal workers have been important in the Highlands because the scattered population could support few permanent smiths or settled master craftsmen. Highland craftsmen tended to remain journeymen, travellers. In recent times, the aesthetic standards of traveller craftsmanship have not been high. As heads of mobile families, the tinsmiths have rarely become specialists. They pride themselves on being jacks of all trades. Tinker metalwork is utilitarian. Cheapness and ingenuity are its hallmarks. Older travellers remember as children being sent to scour rubbish dumps for old corned beef tins. The solder used to seal the tins could be melted out and used again. The culture of the travellers fits clearly into a Celtic mould. In old Celtic society, the craftsman, like the poet and the warrior, was highly valued, and the complete hero had to be something of a smith as well as a singer and a fighter. Amongst the travellers, men are esteemed according to similar values today. It's interesting that Lugh, one of the most important of the Celtic gods and the protector of roads and wayfarers, was like a good traveller, a jack of all trades. Lugh, it is said, arrived at the gates of the palace of Ard Ri na Haireann, the High King of Ireland, seeking service, as Apollo sought service in the house of Admetus. All the specialist jobs had been taken, and Lugh would have been turned away but for the ability he claimed to specialize in everything. He was the universal craftsman, musician, historian, sorcerer, horseman, cupbearer, and much more. Self-sufficient as a true traveller, Lugh succeeded in gaining admittance into the great palace of Tara. It is noteworthy that when Yeats wrote his fine poem in memory of Major Robert Gregory, he acclaimed the dead hero for possessing exactly the same combination of talents. What other could so well have counselled us in all lovely intricacies of a house, as he that practised or that understood all work in metal or in wood, in moulded plaster or in carven stone, soldier, scholar, horseman he, and all he did done perfectly, as though he had but that one trade alone. The Pictish silver bowls that comprise part of St. Ninian's treasure are incised with patterns that are almost identical to those Willie McPhee learnt from his grandfather. These are based upon the natural movement of the compass, and the result is a typically Celtic combination of geometric abstraction and stylized natural form. Metalworking in all non-literate societies is a ritualized and highly traditional activity. The secrets and skills are handed down within families, and it's not fanciful to suggest historic links between Highland traveller smiths and the great metalworkers of the heroic age. Today, however, tinsmithing is a dying, almost a dead craft, and traveller smithing skills have been redirected into the far more profitable scrap metal business. Here, Duncan Williamson sought scrap by fire at his wintering place in Fife. The tradition of itinerant culture carriers in Gaelic society is very old. The highly valued men of art, the Us Dana, always had intertribal responsibilities. The poets and shenaches, the smiths and jewelers, the medicine men and the lawyers, all carried their knowledge and skills from tribe to tribe. They were the privileged custodians of the people's myths and history, their exploit and dream, the guardians of runes and secrets. In this connection, the cant language of the Highland travellers is of great interest, for Gaelic-speaking travellers have a secret language, a strange backslang known as the Béla Record, which, like the Irish cant Berlagan and Sur, has historic links with the ancient cover tongue used by the early Gaelic poets. Thus, through the cant language of the Highland travellers, we can perceive another link between contemporary travellers and the itinerant men of culture of the medieval period.
For I will dress you in tartans and ribbons, they bra. 'Cause your daddy's a soldier and the bull 42. He's a bonny blue-eyed laddie, he's a flower o' them a'. And he joined young gallant regiment at the bull 42.
In full Highland dress, Willie McPhee is hardly recognizable as the tinsmith who made the peace strainer. During the summer months, he pipes for the tourists in lay-bys from Glencoe to the Falls of Shin in Sutherland. In the forces, travellers have often served as pipers and batmen. Military discipline proved intolerable to some travellers, but most enjoyed army life. It tended to get on well with the officers. They, as Jeannie Robertson said, meaning the officers, understand our folk. Members of a paternalistic society, the travellers can, when they choose, serve authority without feeling demeaned. The road to Coleraine, Sutherland, the southland of the Norsemen. This bungalow is the home of Brian and Ina Stewart. With their poultry and animals, Brian and Ina lead a life very similar to the crofters who live round them. Similar, but different, for they were brought up as mobile Gaelic-speaking travellers. Both their parents were tinsmiths. Each summer the Stewart clan took to the road with their horses, dogs, their carts and their wattles. Translating a Gaelic phrase, Hugh MacDermott has written, "Every force evokes its own form." This is true of Celtic art and true also of traveller oral literature. Moving through a landscape of Homeric grandeur, the Sutherland travellers have always been great storytellers, and in Sutherland the Gaelic oral literature of the travelling people long retained great richness and purity. The travelling people of the North Highlands remain a living advertisement for that quality of rural speech that appealed to Wordsworth, and which J.M. Synge found amongst the Aran Islanders. An imageful vocabulary flows naturally from a life in which the fantastic and the fairy tale grow out of daily routine. A gasping trout placed in the mouth is the cure for diphtheria. Exotic nicknames flourish: wooden sleeves, loving a close, the sheep's heed, the big mahungry, laughter, the Rockingham teapot, the half-hangit minister. It's bad luck to use the name McPhee, it's a jinx. In Gaelic the name is sexually suggestive, and to avoid using it, all kinds of cover names are employed, at least till noontide. As well as speaking Gaelic and English, Brian Stewart knows both the English traveller cant and the Gaelic cant, the Bíola Record. A popular song using English cant words honours a chicken thief, Big Jimmy Drummond. Duncan Williamson's the singer.
Then the yaffin start barking at the coorie. The gadgie got startled, I'm sure. These knockings are chorin' organies. I better no bangin' be sure. Then the horny he come in the morgan. He bung with a clasty himself. Sin Jimmy, I'm sure you've been churn, and your friend he did me new to tell. Oh, more Tom bangin' every ye John, to the star day I'm gone new myself. I will mully all the garnies and dozen. I've been better to gang by myself. Tonight I'm in a Calstar day, and there I'm lying by myself. I had sure the garnies for comfort, but the gadget
Brian Stewart no longer travels regularly, but he still owns 3 horses, and each summer he drives by car along the roads he walked as a boy to clean the wells and springs at the old camping places. Brian Stewart is a fine Gaelic storyteller, but he learnt the art from a great storyteller, his uncle, Blind Alec Stewart of Lairg, better known as Ali Dowell. Ali Dowell, whom Callum MacLean described as the best Gaelic storyteller ever recorded on the mainland of Scotland. It was by a fire, amidst a circle of bow tents near the mouth of Strathnaver, that this old blind man was first recorded in 1955.
Ach, wow, sir, Willie, go fial. Het me shika hier, me hes me smoke chin through here in me. Me hes me smoke chin through here in me. Ach, wat
That song, Bruata Rebretin, the dream of the King of Britain, is of great interest to scholars, for it's one of the few direct links between the world of Arthurian, that is, of early Welsh literature, and the Gaelic world. Ali Dowell learnt his songs from his mother, Old Susie, said to have been the best of all the traveller storytellers. She died aged 91 in 1938, and she learnt her stories from relatives born in the 18th century. Ali Dowell's stories, therefore, are thus not far removed from those collected by James Macpherson and used as material for his famous bogus epic. But both men, Ossian Macpherson and Ali Dowell, had genuine access to a world that stretches back to Arthur's Britain and beyond, to the heroic myths and legends of the pre-Christian Gaeltacht.
Go on, svattel aan de schien. Va kwachend pekeraad kan u niet te boeien gassen. Zwaai on wegenaar kan u niet te boeien king. A harwet skool faska. Kusteritja te aan de schien. Scharat stui. Alles bescho. Kan ik niet harke begemeerd. Swamach kaisising kana katin gati tu. Hani go hosten gati tu.
I will build you a boat a fountain, and I'll cover it all with a fluoro the mountain. I will raise the mountain side and the dark glen so weary, and I'll bring all my spoil to the ballroom, my dearie.
As a boy, Gordon Stewart acted as the eyes and support of old Ali Dowell. A fluent speaker of Sutherland Gaelic, he now works as a fencer all over the Highlands and Islands. He lives in this untenanted farmhouse above Bona Bridge. Kate Williamson is the sister of Ina Stewart. She lives with her brothers Peter and John in Ardguy. All have Gaelic as their mother tongue and speak it amongst themselves all the time. To outsiders, travellers tend to show one of two faces. Either a modesty, a shyness that suggests acceptance of an inferior status, or else occasionally a wild and abusive aggression. Traditional self-sufficiency has given some a remarkable natural authority. As a minority group, however, they all share a basically introverted wariness of the settled population. This reserve is one reason why the travellers have retained their separate identity over centuries. Marriage patterns reflect their public introversion. Marriages between relations are often the rule rather than the exception. Protective webs of kinship are continually reinforced, and the hereditary strengths and weaknesses of the group are emphasized.
So this was called Maggie Towsley and Johnny. Oh, my wee Maggie's a hump and a pruchen, a bunwood sprachen, my wee Maggie. Oh, Maggie got a man, the cried the nigger, his face is no any bigger than a penny figure, a hump and a pruchen, a bunwood sprachen, that's my wee Maggie. Oh, Johnny got his bundle, and Maggie got the can, up the glen to the Alblin man, up the glen to the Alblin man, for to bide the next in the morning. Johnny says to Maggie, oh, come into the shed, I will shake the straw, and you can make the bed, for this is the place where your mother she was made, and we're going down the glen in the morning. Oh, my wee Maggie's a hump and a pruchen, a bunwood sprachen, my wee Maggie. Oh, Johnny with the bundle, and Maggie with the can, up the glen to the Alblin man, oh, up the glen to the Alblin man, for to get their tea in the morning. So Johnny says to Maggie, now we've been wed, we'll lay a next in a bonny stray bed, out in the glen we will gang next day.
The travelling people involve themselves in seasonal labour all over the Highlands. But the major event is the raspberry picking, centred on Blairgowrie in East Perthshire. The berry fields of Blair, lying in the vale of Strathmore between the Grampians and the Sidlaw Hills, are one of the great fruit-growing areas of Britain. And every year these fields have provided an arena for the gathering of travelling people. The musical traditions of the Perthshire travellers are personified in the Stewart family of Alec and Bell, better known as the Stewarts of Blair. For generations they've been pipers and singers of renown. Here, Bell Stewart sings her own song, The Berry Fields of Blair.
Oh, when the berry time comes around each year, Blair's population swelling. There's every kind of picker there and every kind of dwelling. There's tents and huts and caravans, there's bothies and their bivvies, and shelters made with tatty bags and dugouts made with divvies. Now there's travellers for the Western Isles, for Arden, Mull and Skye, for Harris, Lewis and Kyles, all be till they come their luck to try. For Inverness and Aberdeen, for Stornoway and Wick, all flock to Blair at the very time, the straws and rasps to pick. Now there's some wha earn a pounder at war, some canny earn their keep, and some would pick for morn to night, and some would rather sleep. But there's some wha has to pick or starve, and some wha dinna care, and there's some wha bless, and some wha curse the berry fields of Blair. Now there's families picking for one purse, and some wha pick a lane, and there's men wha share and share alike wi' wives that's no their ain. There's gladness and there's sadness too, there's happy hearts and sair, for there's comedy and tragedy played on the fields of Blair.
In spite of the low status that travellers accept, the vast majority have a fierce pride in themselves and their way of life. They're proud of their families, their practical skills, their anarchic sense of freedom, their hardihood and physical powers. They have a natural sense of style, but none even of the children paraded before the camera. Some of the most photogenic refuse to be photographed. The travellers have a unified cultural sensibility. The lifestyle is the culture, and the culture makes a hard life a proudly born addiction. What care we, though we be so small, the tent shall stand when the palace shall fall. The famous 17th century freebooter James Macpherson is a potent cultural hero for all Scottish travellers. He lives on, a symbol of traveller pride and traveller rejection of the flatty establishment. No singer conveyed this better than the late Davy Stewart, busking in Dundee. Bonnet on side and head thrust back, he relived Macpherson's defiant dance below the gallows tree.
Grantion Highland stand, the bears laid hands on me, but can't him to Jimmy Brown and let Macpherson free. Randomly was he. It pleased him and he danced around the gallows tree.
Traveller violence is usually confined within the group. Most is caused by drink. Personal clashes easily develop into family feuds, but crimes within the traveller community are often ignored by the police.
My drunk, I'm seldom sober, who the deuce can I run through? If I be drunk near the Isle of Water, my body will be fun in the Isle of Stream. Hum talabree, bree, hun, hey, hun, hey, but me hey, 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 talabree, hey, hun, hey, hey, bra, hey, hun. Am I drunk? I'm seldom sober. The juice can I went through. If I was drunk in the Isle of Water, my body will be fun in the Isle of Stream. Rum da da day da dum day dum, hey, but me
In some ways, the settled population fears the strange world of the travelling people, but there's no doubt that the fear is reciprocated. Travellers of all ages still tell stories of the burkers, the doctors and their students who were supposed to murder travellers to use for dissection in the medical schools. The older generation insists that these are true tales. Such stories of great poignancy, for they are obvious externalizations of a fear of genocide in which they, the travellers, will be the victims. Eddie and Essie Davis, pearl fishers from Ardguy, camped near Granton-on-Spey. Their 4 children spend the summer holiday working with their parents. Pearl fishing is a traditional traveller occupation. It's a summertime activity and obviously suited to a migratory lifestyle. Bert Grant, who farms at Tornafettle, is one of that decreasing group of landlords who still allow travellers to camp on good sites. Even in the vast empty spaces of the Northwest Highlands, the Davises find it difficult to get permission to camp by the rivers they work.
Staging in Strathneva, the great cleared strath, the Davis tent sits beneath the pyramid of Ben Cleebrec. The Davis family demonstrates the continuing adaptability of the travelling people. Eddie Davis is not of Highland travelling stock. His grandfather came to Sutherland from Wales. But as a pearl fisher, Eddie's father adopted the traveller way of life. And now he's married to Essie Stewart, a Gaelic-speaking traveller brought up within the family of the storyteller Ali Dowell. Their son Eddie is keen to follow his father's trade.
For my name is Jock Stewart, I'm a canny gunman, but a roving young fellow I have been. So be easy and free when you're a courting with me, for I'm a man used on to meet every day. For I took out my gun and my dog I did shoot, or down by the river clear. So be easy and free when you're a drinking with me, for I'm every
Back in the war, and it always retains the excitement of the hunt. The late Aberdeen, a settled traveller, is generally agreed to have been the greatest of all modern Scottish ballad singers. For Alan Lomax, she was a monumental figure of the world's folk song, and for A.L. Lloyd, a singer sweet and heroic. She could also sing a bawdy song with the best of them.
Oh, Maggie, I'm milking one fine summer's day, When by can we jokey to Harry did say, oh Maggie, her milk's running free. For if I stood in beside thee, it's will you milk me? Reck-a-too-lie-a-dee, reck-a-too-lie-a, reck-a-too-lie-a-dee, right for holiday. For Maggie lay down and she pulled up her clothes, and Jokey gave her yum, reck-a-too-lie-a, reck-a-too-lie-a-dee, right for holiday. For she milk it with Jokey and she milk it him dry, and she sent him to the hill amongst the dry kye. Reck-a-too-lie-a-dee, reck-a-too-lie-a, reck-a-too-lie-a-dee, right for holiday.
With the decline of high Gaelic culture in the 18th century and the cultural desertion of the clan chiefs, responsibility for the continuance of a genuine the Highlands passed from the top to the bottom of the social pyramid. The standard of an ancient culture, which had been left at the castle's back door to rot, was taken up like the nail from beneath the cross and unfurled.
Come ye trams and hawkers and gatherers a blow. Mal trams the country rune, come listening and all. I'll tell to you how Robin tell her sights that I have seen. Far up into the snowy north and south by Gretna Green, I see I creep in the collar and run by Bonnie Doon and by the Netties, silvery tides in places I'll take in. Far up to the stormy north lies our car's bonny glen. Up things are blocked into my sail when I'm trudging on the road. We a bag a blow upon my back, my face is bruns a toad. Well, lumps a kicks and tatty scones and cheese and braxy home. Nothing can look what I'm coming.
Go on.
We're going there.
Come on, Fred.
Hold on, pal. Money, bought a lot of money. Good horse. You got some here to run with? I ain't got no use for a horse. I've got two good horses. I've got a black and white and a Palomino. That's not a shame. Please, I've got a horse, cob. They bred out of every part of the horse. And a good little black and white. He's a nice little horse. Man wanted a nice little horse. I served 2 meals with him yesterday. Your boy was there when the man started playing in the bay. Go, jump, yo.
we're on to stand, the minute you give me 10 more, we're on to stand.
I'm going to get 5 more.
No,
65.
but here.
65 for
Here,
it. Go down.
I get 5.
No, if you go 65.
You don't
talk age.
Come on. Two less if you want to buy it. Go pulling anything up on this up here. Well, will you get 80 quid for it? Will you get 80 quid for it?
Tell him something. Tell him something. Tell him something. Tell him something. Hey, tell him something.
Hey, look at that.
Chill. Come on,
Come on.
My own daughter is only here by the grace of God after only being given so long to live. I expect my days are still numbered by the doctors. But I don't keep on and on and on about it. So change the record and do let's forget our miseries and have something uplifting. Here is something uplifting.
Are we going to head up that road then, Catherine?
I'm going now.
Yeah.
Going lazy. Going up to
Relax, do nothing. We like to think we can, but we're not very good at it. And so we invent all kinds of activities to fill this gap. We devise all kinds of methods of making sure that we get adequate stimulation from the environment. Sometimes, of course, it goes too far. The environment becomes too stimulating and we suffer from stress. And so you see this constant battle going on in society between boredom and stress. All the time, we're trying to get the optimum, the peak between the two extremes. And I've gone into all the different ways in which we do this, some of them rather surprising. Sometimes, for example, there's a device which I've called tempting survival. If life is getting a bit boring because we've no longer got the struggle for survival, we almost, as it were, deliberately do something which puts back a terrible threat or creates a tremendous problem in our lives. And a great deal of what we would call delinquency in younger members of society is an attempt to put back some sort of survival struggle into life. And it's really a matter of relieving boredom. And this is a lesson that adults should learn, I think.
That one coming out there, what can I get Well, if there anything happens, or anything goes wrong, like if there any stealing or robbing going on down there now, just because we're sitting here, you can repent your life, we'll get blamed for it, even if we never do it. But we're always counted the worst.
Sean, I baptize thee in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost.
The given name is Sean, Sean Lee, child of the travelling folk, born a traveller. This is his baptism into an alien world.
Take this burning light and guard your baptism without reproach. Keep the commandments of God, so that when the Lord shall come to the marriage feast, you may be ready to meet him together with all the saints in the court of heaven, to live with him forever and ever. Amen. Sean, go in peace, and the Lord be with you. Amen.
Go in peace, he said. But where to? What sort of life awaits Sean Lee, offspring of travellers? Soldier, sailor, tailor, or just tinker? Mary, what sort of a future do you see for young Sean?
Well,
Is he going to be a traveller?
yes,
All his life?
yes.
Do you want
I'd
him
just-
to be?
Yes, I'd like him to be like you.
Why?
Well, it's bred in him.
What about his education?
Oh, yes, I'd like to put him to school and that. I'd like him to be educated, to be able to read and write.
But if he gets educated, do you not think he might not then want to be a traveller?
Well, I was educated. It never changed me.
There are what, 2,000 of them in Scotland? 3,000? No one knows for sure, for their way of life is impatient of registers and tallies. The impression is of teeming, sounding fertility. It was announced this week that there's to be a census of them next spring, trying to quantify the unquantifiable. They have no substance, these people, any more than smoke. They lead a fitful, wayward life, flitting from one uneasy resting place to another. Here, on a derelict farm on the outskirts of Bell's Hill in Lanarkshire, they find at present an uneasy pause, a temporary truce with society. They are the children of Never Never Land. We envy them a certain native freedom from the restraints that dogged our childhood, but cannot and will not permit them to enjoy it. How old are you, David?
12.
You go to school?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
It's not bad, you know. I believe in soon because I can nearly read, you know. I mean, you know, I can pick a comic book and read it.
Can you?
Yeah.
Can you write?
Yeah.
Well,
But not, I can read better.
can you?
Yeah.
How much have you been to school?
Well, like 3 months.
All your life?
Yeah.
Just 3 months.
Yeah. Or maybe more.
What's your name?
Douglas.
How old are you?
7.
When you meet boys from the towns, is it a bit difficult?
Well, you can go on better with a traveller than what you can do with the people who live in houses now.
In what way?
Well, you can say things and do things with travellers and that what you can't do with people who live in a house.
What sort of things?
Oh well, if you're going somewhere like that, going up with scrap, you can bring the person with you in the hog, can't you?
And don't they understand, the boys from the town?
No, they understand, but you know, it's not just the same.
Do you fight with them?
Oh, when they start calling me gypsies, no, I fight with them.
Don't you like being called a gypsy?
No.
Why not?
Well, just it's not my proper name, is it?
Do you like being called tinkers?
No, don't like to be called any of their names.
What do you like being called?
Oh, if I'm starting with any boys and I'm playing with boys, if they want to call me anything, they didn't want to call me name, they can call me a traveller, can't they?
Mrs. Young, I never know what to call you. Do you like being called gypsies or travellers or what?
Gypsies, what we're used of.
You are a gypsy.
Yeah, what we're used of.
What is it about being a gypsy that you like so much?
Life outside. Never known anything else.
Even in the winter when it's uncomfortable?
Even in the winter. Been born on the road and we're expecting to die on the side of the road.
I think people in cities have rather a romantic view of gypsies, you know, earrings and flashing eyes and things. Is it a true picture? Is the romantic life?
No, not really. It's nice, it has its good points. It's like everything else. It isn't romantic or anything like that.
Do you feel yourself to be totally different from other people?
Not different, but I know if I was in a house it'd be like a jail.
Now this is a pretty opulent caravan, beautifully decorated, beautifully appointed. Can you make a pretty good living on the road?
No, we just live from day to day. You know, we just get a living and that's all.
What would you consider a minimum living wage?
Well, sometimes it's better than others. Whenever it's slow, we just live less good, you know, just if you have a good week, we live a bit better. That's all.
How do you make your living
By the fields, working.
in the summer?
Yeah, very strongly work. By lofting potatoes and doing carrots and doing turnips, all the dirty work in the day in fields.
Why do you all have so many children?
That's a silly question. Well, I mean, we just have what's for us. That's all there is to it.
Do you actively like big families rather than small families?
Well, I wouldn't be without mine. You know, I wouldn't like to be without mine.
What's going to happen to them?
I suppose they'll be like me or my husband when they grow up.
Travellers?
Mm-hmm. Maybe my daughter will marry a man without a house, or if she do, well, she'll settle down.
Do you want her to?
I wouldn't mind for her.
Why?
I don't know, she's only girl. I'd like her to have someone to look after, you know. Boys can look after themselves, can't they?
I have a young daughter there of 10 months. If she married a lord's son, she's still what she is, isn't she? You can't count on nothing else. Doesn't matter how you put it on, how you say with us. Call us what you like, do what you like with us. We're still what we are.
What about educating the children? This is a problem.
That's the one worry. I would like them educated naturally. I mean, we're not going to be here forever. I'd like them to be able to read and write and earn the living.
Can you read and write yourself?
I can read and write, yes.
So
But how do we know we're going to get leave to school? We may be put away tomorrow, we may be put away the next day. I had my children in school for one day in Bellshill, and I had to take them out and put away again. Could you learn to read and write like that? And I had them for 6 weeks again, and I had to pick them up and put them away again.
To the travellers, education is a wistful dream of utopia, a defence against the hostile world of houses and authority. They have no runes of their own to read now. But our kind of literacy demands a stability which they despise and fear, and at the same time yearn for.
How often have you been moved? Moved? Well, it's just been like this. It's been on the road every day, every day, every day. This last past 3 months. And when I come down from England, I had a good bit of money. But now I've got nothing. That's as far as I can go now where I am now.
Mrs. White, what's it like trying to bring up a family when you're constantly on the move like this, day after day?
Well, it's hard. Because the men's got to go out and look for the living, and they don't get a chance. Because we've only got a day here and a day there. We move somewhere else and we're moved again. The police comes at night and they lift them. They don't give them no board nothing. Then the men doesn't get a chance to look for the living.
We even every day, well, you give the women the shop money, you've got to feed the children. It takes diesel money. If you get a puncture or any breakdown, it takes money to fix that. Well, that's the way it's ended up now. I've got nothing now. That when the police come this time, it'll just have to be to take me inside. Because I have no money to pay any fines or nothing now.
Is it really worth it? Would you rather have a house?
No, we wouldn't like our houses. It's been what we've been brought up to. We just like, if we could find us places, some place to stay, we wouldn't mind paying a bit of rent. And we could be as clean as the people in the houses if they would give us a chance. If they come and left that we're rubbish and that.
What do you like about this kind of life?
Well, we're free. And this kind of life where, if we don't like a neighbour, we can shift away from them. But in houses, if you're next to a neighbour that you don't go on too well with, you've got to stay there. Our children never had to take sick. We think we're children's healthy in the people that's in houses.
Do you want your children to be travellers like yourself?
Yes, I would like them to be brought up with ourselves. My mother and father, every person in our generation, they all travelled. I never stayed in houses in my life.
It's a miserable kind of life in this weather, Davy. What do you like about it?
Well, just what we're used to, you know.
Have you ever lived in a house?
Yes.
How did you like it?
I didn't like it.
Why not?
Well, we wouldn't make the houses.
Years of living on the fringes of society have made the menfolk shy of recognition. They live unlawful lives, hedged about with restriction and the constant threat of summary arrest and eviction. Even the campfire can provoke public complaint.
How long do you think this site will last?
God knows. A couple of weeks, maybe more, maybe a month.
And then you have to move on.
And then we'll have to move on.
How's your copper getting on?
Oh, it's all right. Wish I had plenty more.
You get too rich then.
Yeah.
Their winter work is 20th century scavenging, picking away around the fringes of the settlements, scratching a living by turning over yet again the metal refuse of a wasteful consumer society. Most of our scrap metal merchants today are descended from the travellers. Like cavalry that turned into tanks, scrap metal has taken over from the traditional preoccupation of the traveller, ponies. There aren't many gypsy ponies left now, and even fewer pony dealers. Some, like Charlie Douglas, keep them out of sentiment more than anything else. But even though Charlie Douglas is off the road now and settled in a house, he still retains a pride of ancestry that pricks him to campaign for all the unknown hundreds he'd left behind. He's now become the traveller's spokesman, associate member of a committee dedicated to arouse society's concern about these social outcasts. They met last week in Glasgow to plan their tactics. James Davidson, Liberal MP for Aberdeenshire West, who's been prodding the government in Parliament. Charlie Douglas himself, traveller turned contractor. And Helen Fullerton, assistant lecturer in chemistry at Glasgow University.
They may not be warned to be off, but the police will come. The thing is that travellers have no civil rights and human rights. They can't go to their MP because they have no MP. They can't go to their local councillor because he'll say, you don't belong to my area. They're a voice crying in the wilderness, as they'll put it to you themselves, and a voice that isn't heard. And they depend on people like ourselves taking up their cause.
Well, I think there are certain practical things we could do. I would suggest that you send out a circular to the local authorities, something on the lines of this draft I brought along, to try and find out exactly what the problem is in the areas and get some idea of the cost that is involved at the moment in shifting people on, to try and convince them that they'd be much better to provide spending their time and money moving travellers on from site to site the whole time. Then I myself will try and form a small all-party liaison committee in the House of Commons. I don't think any difficulty about this. It's a completely non-party matter, and you've got response from members of all parties on this. I think it should be quite easy. And this other point that you raised, Mr. Douglas, yes, this business of where people actually belong. I think I might try and frame a parliamentary question on this, the actual registration of travellers in a particular place, so that at least they are the responsibility of somebody's local authority pushing you on and saying you're not ours, move on.
Their dogs, the lurchers, symbolize as nothing else the essence of their way of life. Lean and wiry animals, crossbred offspring of the greyhound and the collie, used to running down forbiddens. All the contradictions of their state are here. The curious elegance, the echo of a lost freedom, the bruised romance of a way of life that's now degenerate, distrusted by a society long resentful of them. In England, local authorities will soon be bound by law to provide for them a minimum of civilized amenities. In Scotland, only a handful of authorities like Perthshire are planning settled campsites to accommodate them for the winter. There's no law to compel them. But today, the ultimate stark reality for this collection of travellers is a place like Almond Bank just outside the city of Perth, where the travelling has ground to a final halt, bogged down in a limbo of mud and squalor and rejection.
Well, on television, I reckon or quite often you present one side of the picture to the other. And I should think up here just now, you're probably going to romanticize these thinkers and give us here nothing of the other side at all. And there is, some of them are the dirtiest people you can meet.
First thing they do is hop over the wall and into the nearest grain field and do their necessary there. When eventually they do pull out, it's just a scene of filth.
And this encampment we're going to have, as I understand it, there are hundreds of them waiting poised to descend on us. And it's all very well saying they must have somewhere, but the old story, why should they be in our backyard?
Do you look on yourselves as travellers now, Mrs. McGregor?
Yes.
You're still travellers?
Yes.
But you haven't moved from here?
No. Just last 3 years.
How can you be travellers if you don't travel?
Well, we've always travelled, till now anyway.
Do you want to settle down now?
Yes. I meant to say we're getting at an age now that we're not fit to travel. We've no transport to travel.
And I can't leave Perthley, I've got to attend the doctor who's weeks.
But other travellers that I've talked to are horrified at the thought of having to settle in a house. They feel the house is a prison.
No, sir, I would love a house. The rest of my life now. Settle down.
Why do you want to go off the road, Mr. McGregor?
Well, there's no camping now. We can't leave here and go there and come. Sorry. One time you could do. Any farmer, any estate, were well known, were honest, in this special district, you know. We could come anywhere. And then there was a job. We got it. And the people were well known with the people, well equipped.
In a site like this, is there any organisation? Do you run it by a committee or anything like that?
No. Everyone pleases himself. Every man has his own family and he's the boss there.
What happens if there's a dispute on the site?
Well, I'm going to get the best of it.
I've never had any carry on down here.
But there's not much that. Of course, there may be a bit of drink and that.
Some of them.
But there's hardly any quarrel or fight. And then the police never bother, except they're anything stolen, you know what I mean? They always come. If there's any stealing or any kind, it's here they come.
Here they come.
Same as
This site is in a terrible mess.
It
really is filthy.
Yes, it's filthy, yes. Not healthy, sir.
Who makes it filthy?
Well, it's yourself walking up and down, you see. Not a sandy soil, you know, like a more clay. So that's why the water isn't sinking. And then the surface of the almond is not leaving it dry. You see, it's always down.
It's right below. The water comes in rows.
When the tea is large, instead of the almond flooding down, the tea comes back up. It floods right into the
This bit here for
This
the water.
here fills up a while.
Did you build this house yourself?
Yes, myself and one of my sons.
How long did it take you?
Well, it depends on getting the wood, you see. I get a chance to someone to take the slabs from the sawmill, or old boards. And then we get some wood with the person or joiner. And nails, we buy nails. And then we just, when we're kind of idle, we just, maybe it's in good weather. Start.
Is it weatherproof?
Yes, it's weatherproof.
What's it like to live in, Mrs. McGregor?
Fine, thank you.
Well, it's better in the camp because it's not so warm as the camp, man. That's a far warmer thing
I
than
want a
the
place
hut.
with that hut is, that camp.
The tarpaulin tent?
Yes. That's far.
What do you live off?
Well, I get off of national security. I'm retired now. I don't work. I've been under a doctor. I had a car accident up there. So had feet. So we're under the doctor.
They've been a part of this country for hundreds of years, and yet they're a group of people with no civil rights in this country, and in fact no human rights, because they don't exist in the eyes of the local authorities until they appear on a piece of waste ground and they're told to move on. When there's a problem in Scotland as far as gypsies are concerned, the Scottish office in the government is told that there's no problem.
Lord Hughes, the Scottish office, seems to accept that there is a problem. Why have you changed your mind?
I don't think it's so much a question that we changed our mind. The evidence that we had, and the evidence that we still have, is that the local authorities don't believe there is need for new legislation in Scotland, that they have powers to deal with the situation. But I have twice recently seen deputations on this matter, and personally I'm viewing it in a different light. I do think that there is something which may have to be looked at.
Well, what's it?
Well, the first thing, and this is very useful in any government action, is to try to find out what the facts are. And we have decided, with the cooperation of the deputation who saw me on these two occasions, of these travelling people, at the end of March.
There seems to be in some people a fear of the travelling folk, a resentment, as if they menaced our own settled way of life.
Some people have got the impression that these travelling folk are people with whom they should have had nothing to do at all. Now, the result of this really is that the travellers are having imposed on them standards which no one would expect, say, a whole community of council house tenants to have imposed on them. At the first sign of noise of them arising, somebody wants to complain that they should be moved. Now, we can't ignore that there's the Trespass Act and there's the Caravans Act. But what I can say quite definitely as a result of the discussions we've had with the local authorities, that neither the local authorities or the chief constables are anxious or in any way desirous of harrying these people.
In 10 years' time, perhaps, this problem may be solved. In 10 days' time, it'll be Christmas. Do you foresee these travelling people having a better Christmas this year than they did last year?
Honestly, I don't know the Christmas they had last year, because this wasn't a problem of which I really had any awareness last year. What I am certain is that if everybody wants to be awkward about it, there's no doubt that these people, and particularly the children, can have as unpleasant a Christmas as anybody anywhere in Europe could be having. But if there is toleration, and I know that that toleration will come both from the authorities and the police, if we get the same degree of toleration from individuals and the maximum cooperation from the travellers themselves, I have as good a Christmas as the kind of conditions which they want to live in will permit.
We have to move them, of course, because the complaints from the people about here, and they have no standard arrangements like you and I.
How many children have you?
3.
And how often have you been shipped?
Well, this is like 3rd. No, 3 times.
Since when?
Since last Friday, I think.
At this time?
Well, we don't know. I would wait tomorrow and sometimes we can work so I can go.
Would you like to live in a house if you could?
Well, I would like a little house, just to send the children to school then, since we would realise the children there. I care about us, we're just Nothing to them. No, look at all these dear black people. All the Yankees. They're out as soon as they get here, aren't they? Look at that. Not entitled to live in a country that we're bred and born in.
What are you down on there? I'm brother of you. You ain't no more up the coming to us. I'll wait for Dr. Green there.
Here are the men who constitute. So what are you going to do now?
Well, as I said before, I said, what we can do. The police refuse to do anything about it, as far as I can see, to protect us from getting our heads banged in or anything like that.
How do you feel about it?
The same as you do.
Now, I've just seen you refuse to be moved, Mr. Mitchell.
Well, I've been in an hospital for 7 weeks. I've had 2 nasty operations. I am in the condition to be poured off because my wife lays ill with the flu, Dr. Tennant nurse down there.
How long have you had this?
You see to that the police summon me for cause of obstruction by putting them in the highway, and that's just how we stand.
At the moment, something like 6,000 gypsy families live on unofficial sites like this one at Battersea in London, with no fresh water or drainage facilities, waiting until the landowner or the local authority moves them on. The 1968 Caravans Act was an attempt to get gypsies off the roadside and wasteland sites and onto official encampments where they would pay rent and rates and become part of the community. The report blames a lack of effort by some local authorities and pressure by communities who simply don't want a gypsy site nearby at any price. It urges central government to enforce a quota system on local authorities, requiring them to provide an adequate number of sites. Gypsy housing, says the report, should be given the same priority as is given to other homeless groups.
Well, in Europe as a whole, they're one of the minorities that have been persecuted for a great many years. I know that they're not all perfect, that there's been vandalism at some of the sites, and that there are some tough people among them. But John Cripps, I think, has rightly said that the way to solve the problem isn't to increase that confrontation. He does talk in one chapter about conflict. It's not to increase it, but it's to try to solve the problem. The way to solve it is by the provision of proper sites.
The report is bound to cause controversy at local government level. The Association of Metropolitan Authorities, replying to the report, said that there simply isn't enough cash for new sites. And the association says it's up to the government to provide funds, as the report suggests it should, before permanent homes can be found for all Britain's gypsies.